Okay, here we go again. It is Tuesday, May 12th. Freezing out here today compared to what it's been, but that makes sense. Go from 80 to, well, probably in the 40s, 50s, but the wind, it's windy as hell. It's windy every day. The sun's fighting to come out. You can see it's coming out now, man. It warms it up, but it's ridiculous what they do to this weather. Anyway, in the twilight zone that we live in, as expected, Truther's going crazy over this cop. He's a shill, he's a this. You know, it's quite possible. I said from the very beginning that what he was saying wasn't all gold, but, you know, you got to chalk certain things up. See, this is the thing that destroys this movement. Like, you just take in information for what it is, but don't attack other people that are trying to you know, get certain messages out while people sit at home and they think they're gematria experts and symbolism experts, and, you know. And again, I'm not saying it's not. Could easily be, you know what I'm talking about, obviously, the cop that spoke out, that got fired from Seattle. Could easily be a psyop to get other cops afraid. But even psyops aren't foolproof, because most people haven't worked in a police department and they don't know a fucking thing about how it works. They think they're all brothers and sisters and they're all Freemasons and they all got each other's back. It's the furthest thing from the fucking truth. Yeah, there's Freemasons in there. They're isolated. It's not talked about. People find out here and there. And those are mostly the people that get promoted. Most people don't even know it goes on. I remember when I was there and found out a group of guys were becoming Freemasons. We made fun of them. And I only found out because I found out everything. Because I was someone that people told everything to. Because I was someone who, like this Seattle cop is supposed to represent, someone who always wanted to do the right thing. So people trusted me with things. I didn't take information and use it for my own benefit, or it was all about doing the right thing. And, you know, it's a boys' club. It's a club where people are provided favors for their cooperation with, you know, certain ways of doing business. It's not just in the police departments, it's in corporations, it's in the medical institutions, it's in the media, it's in everything. But all cops are not Freemasons. Now, his Instagram is interesting. I'm not going to say it's not, but people are like, oh, the 33, the black and white, the one-eyed, you know, there's a lot there. I'm not saying there isn't. But I would ask those people what all those symbols mean. Can you tell me before you're, it's Freemasonry, it's the devil. Again, I do know some of the guys that are Freemasons, are retired now, that I worked with. And they don't comprehend fully. They think they do, but they don't comprehend fully, I'll go this way, the practice of Freemasonry, because it's not taught properly. It's not taught in its true intention. Remember, these people use information and suppress information and use it to their own benefit. They take and they twist. So, what does the number 33 even mean, you know? Jesus died when he was 33 and rose again. What does that mean? It's a number that is used in Freemasonry to represent enlightenment. And the allegory used would be like a block of ice. Water begins to thaw at 33 degrees. 32 degrees, you are that blockhead, that blockhead of ego and indoctrination and veiling of truth, of self, of one's own mistakes. And at 33 degrees, that ice starts to melt. It's symbolic. Now, again, they hijack all of this and they use it to their own. Most of the time, you'll see a 32, a useful dupe. One thing I can tell you is that guy's not a 33-degree Freemason. You know, I mean, If he's anything, he's a Blue Lodge member, and you know, 3 steps and you're it. You know, if you move up any higher, you know, you're not really out in the public view doing things. You know, I found interesting, because again, knowing how things do work, the progression in which he spoke. Yes, again, a lot of threes. 3 hours later, 3 days later. I get it. But I'm talking about the progression in which he was approached to take the video down, that he explained anyway. Again, taking information neutrally, whether he's a useful dupe in a psyop, whether he's an aware dupe in a psyop, whether he's genuine, whether he's... It can inspire other friggin' people to inspire other cops. It can inspire other cops. It can inspire family members of people to inspire their family members who are cops to do the right thing. Everything has a potential for good and bad. But what do the truthers do? Bah, you can't research. Your referencing sucks. Can't you see it? Oh, Freemasonry. Look at the one eye. 33, black and white. Checkmate. I know everything. But they don't really look and see, all right, this is what happened. How can it be utilized? You know, we can explain the potentiality of it being a psyop and why they would want to do such a thing. And we can explain the opposite side of, because there are cops that actually believe they're doing the right thing and do try. I was one of them. Yes, it was, you know, in the 90s, and I've been gone for 19 or 18 and a half years. And the post 9/11 world enveloped around police departments. I was not there for it. I understand there is a change. But I also understand how a police department works. The division, the egos, the tattletaling to daddy, the groups that break off that try to do the right thing, the groups that break off that want to break the public's balls so they can say, Daddy, look at me, I'm doing the right thing. Feeding of egos. Even back then, there was a small number of people who were trying to do the right thing before even this was visible, let alone the authenticity of the job. I do understand the power of authority over man is illegitimate. Again, lessons later discovered in life. These guys aren't close to there yet. You know, they think they're doing the right thing. And they're trying to do the right thing, some of them. Well, they do need encouragement because they may not jump out and speak out. Oh, this was a wrong turn. I don't want to go this way. Shit. No. In order to speak out, cops don't really put themselves out there, kind of the way I did. Which is why I understand what it is to be a union representative, a union president. And when the union was mentioned by him, again, I don't know what their unions are like, but union representation is there to make sure you're not wrongfully fired, wrongfully charged, that you're represented. Yeah, this is taking me totally out into a neighborhood. I don't know if I can go that way. Turn around. And right away, as explained by this cop, union was in agreement with him, with the administration. That's not how it's supposed to go. Administration may make allegations. The union is there to represent you, and they're there to make sure there is no wrongful termination, wrongful discipline, things like that. Now, the way they're, of course, explaining it is insubordination, you know, failure to follow a direct order. Again, you know, my leaving the police department was through my own experiences of personal trauma, coupled with the mountains of battles going on during this implementation of what you see the police have become, which at the time, I had no idea that's what it was becoming. Thought it was a bunch of egos. People's fault, you know. People making decisions. I had not realized the entirety of the system was what it was at that point. So we were fighting it on a level of person to person, and not a lot of people have the balls to do that, to go up and challenge, you know, chiefs and mayors. And it's something that I did for the last 4 years of my career, 3.5 years. And I watched how they broke that down. I watched how they weakened the guys around me so that I could not gain momentum. But there still always was a core group of 5, 6 guys around me, and we were able to keep it going. And the way we did things is we met privately over breakfast far away so that we couldn't wouldn't worry about people walking in, and we discussed how are we going to. And back then we did things because what was coming in back then? Things like, mandatory tickets. Well, we would organize no production, guys. We would get as many people as we could, not to write. Well, a lot of guys didn't want to write tickets anyway, so that was easy. You had your group that had to do it anyway. But for the most part, if guys were anonymous and a lot of people were doing it, they would go along with it. Because again, most of them are in fear. So those kinds of movements, what I'm saying is, have to be seeded and grown. And what you saw there, it is possible, has resonated with many of those people that do not have the courage to do that, but believe this guy did. And it may change their perception of what they're doing. And does that mean they're going to change everything all around them? No. Just by, no. But it does mean that seeds have been planted, whether it was a psyop or not. If it was a psyop, it was aimed at scaring cops. You're not a cop, so what? Take it down and break it down. Look at it for what it is and try to explain to people, why you may think A, B, and C. Stop coming to conclusions based on nonsensical symbol decoding. You could put it all together to show a possibility of something, but you don't know what this guy knew. My point I was getting to about the fact that if he was involved in Freemasonry, he most likely don't even know what any of that shit means. It's taught in ways to it's about making, of course, the same premise, making a man a better man, but the manner in which it's taught, it's about making a better man at the expense of others. So utilizing the ego and the wrongful idea that it's survival of the fittest and you need to be smarter and this is the law of the jungle, and to make people feel that they're superior and they're just learning knowledge other people are not, and they're utilizing it for their own benefit, and it's making themselves a better person because there are aspects of morality thrown in there or it wouldn't fucking work. Like everything, it's truth thrown in everything. So my point is, I really can't stand when people just attack when videos are sent, and of course, that's not happening to me. Why? I don't turn my fucking comments on. That's why. I don't need to hear the attacks. I don't need to defend anything I post. And as much as I appreciate people, I don't need the accolades if people agree with me. It's not what this is about. If people agree with me, they stay and they watch, or they hit the button, or they send it somewhere, or they watch for 2 minutes and go, idiot, and turn it off. I don't really care. It's about getting people to see the bigger picture as to what is coming in as a result of whether or not you believe this is a real virus, or whether or not you are at the understanding of this Orwellian implementation of aspects of the agenda, or whether you're just an idiot and don't care what's going on around you yet because you just turn the TV off and say fuck it. The end result is still the same: surveillance, intrusive ways of enforcing social distancing. See, because those words don't even go together. So, social distancing. So it didn't come right to mind. The enforcement of masks, as long as they choose to keep that symbolism of muzzlement of their herd going on, and isolation of people, and breaking of the bond and interactions of people. While everybody walk around like mass marauders. Whether it's forced vaccines, forced tracking, forced testing, I didn't think of the damn word, for certain aspects of what they claim would be the virus in order to keep the stimulus checks coming to you. Max read an interesting letter this morning that was supposed to be out of California. I didn't look at it enough to validate where that's from. I'm sure I would certainly think he would have. But regardless, these are the things that are coming anyway. Talking about mandating testing for people over there and up until June 1st in order to keep your stimulus money coming in. Oh, and by the way, if you test positive, we'll have to remove your children and put them in foster care till you're all better. Like, how many people are going to give that up for a paycheck? Unfortunately, in this world, some, if not two, more than others. I don't even want to think about it. Fucking parenting aspects, which are the problem of this world today, of decision making that goes on through the childish minds of most parents, you know. But these are the things that are coming in. These are the things they're doing all around us, in front of us, visibly. We can debate the validity of the virus all day. You know, if someone doesn't want to believe it and look at the evidence and look at the facts, they're not gonna. You know, but they can't deny the aspects of the you know, a solution that they're bringing in as being Orwellian, intrusive, unconstitutional, against rights, and damn right fucking just ridiculous to any kind of response to an infection or a pandemic, or even if it was real. You don't have the right to tell other people what to do. You don't have a right to complain that other people aren't wearing a mask. I mean, you can complain yourself, but if you decide that you're going to violate natural law and violate someone's right to be left alone by telling them you need to do A, B, and C because I fucking said so, well, you know, there might be a response from that person, a valid response from the causation of your encroachment on his right to be left alone and not told what to do by you if he's not initiating harm against someone else. And you'll say, he's initiating harm because he's not wearing a mask. Are you wearing a mask? Well, then according to your logic, don't fucking worry about it. Even though the masks don't protect you from anything, but that's a whole nother topic and a whole nother aspect of the dialectic. It doesn't matter. Point being, if you want to be safe, wear a mask. You want to get a vaccine because you think that's safe, wear a mask. If other people don't, you don't get to tell them what to do because you're afraid of what I made a wrong turn again. Jesus. That's what happens when I get talking. Because you're afraid of what's going to happen to you when you think you can now control the environment around you and others around you based on your warped understanding of what's going on here. Again, I even fall to the dialectic too by using that tone. But it is the truth. So, you know, I don't deny the truth by trying to say that we need to just ignore all of the details and the bullshit right now and realize that they throw a psyop at it, and this Seattle cop is a psyop. Okay, what good can come from it? You know, if they're staging protests out there to scare people from you know, defying their commands, okay, what good can come from it? Well, it's the same thing. It's called righteous anger inside of a person who then decides to look at more information and to look at what's going on more holistically rather than this myopic view of the virus and say, wait a fucking minute, they fired that cop? Oh, wait a minute, they locked up that mom? You know what I mean? Instead of going, we're in black and white. You know? I got news for you. Most people in the Blue Lodges think that checkered floor is a good thing. You know? You're off your square. You know what I mean? They don't understand the complete inversion of the true understanding of that. It means that you are a wanderer, wandering between light and dark without understanding how your choices create your own happenstances in front of you. And you are in physical, earthly identification only, detached from spirit, the wanderer, you know. They're all beautiful allegories if properly taught, but, you know, instead of realizing they teach these people the opposite of that, you know, because all of those lodges are created to filter in useful dupes that will do their bidding in positions of the hierarchical structure that they all control from the higher levels through politics and the owning of everything monetarily, corporately, and, you know, all the resources and everything the hell else. The banks, the printers of books, the owners of websites and social media platforms and newspapers and television. That's a holistic understanding of how Freemasonry is used. And it's not the only tradition used. All kinds of mystery tradition teachings are inverted by these satanic grottos and taught the opposite of what they're actually explaining. And again, the opposite. You're just looking at information. You're looking at information about the psyche. You're looking at information about the world in which you live, the environment in which you live, the laws of physics and the spiritual laws that exist, the inner workings of the psychological mind and how it affects the body, the understanding of, certain cultures and how they applied variations of this to their traditions. And that's what you're doing. But it's the consciousness of that person that's taking in the information and then how they're disseminating it to other people within their little clubs, whether it's being used for good or not, whether it's used for personal gain or whether it's used to enlighten others on how to better behave and better understand themselves. This information, again, is suppressed. So this, just turn it off. Same thing with heavy metal music. Oh my God, it's against Jesus. You can't learn that some of that satanic, quote unquote, or egoic music is there, and you can listen to some of the lyrics and learn actual positive attributes of what not to do by listening to, aspects of things being brought, into consciousness of a generation, trying to get them to behave the way they want. Well, our generation kind of broke out of that. There was a lot of underground music that had a lot of good meaning. Of course, they had to wipe that away. But the point is, because it's heavy metal, or even bands like Black Sabbath. Oh my God, they're named Black Sabbath. Listen to some of the lyrics of the music and understand the times, Vietnam War and things like that, and realize the political statements that they were being made. So it's against Jesus, Jesus is going, oh my God, when he hears shit like that. People can do whatever they want as long as they don't initiate harm to others or ignore it all around them, because then what happens is it comes back to you. That's how it works. That's what we're dealing with now. It's ignoring all this bullshit and just frolicking around the Monopoly board, not caring about what is right and wrong and getting our promotions and shutting our mouths and going along to get along and me, and I can't, my job's on the line, I gotta do what I'm told, but I'll go over here and bitch about it. Oh, the fucking bitch. Instead of sitting in the meeting and go, wait a fucking minute, and then getting fired for insubordination like I did when questioning wrongful behavior. What I was questioning actually was, in my opinion, theft, but we'll call it misappropriation of funds, and I wasn't going to back down because I knew they had 2 strikes against me already and were trying to get rid of me after being there for 14 years. And for over 10 of those years was the greatest social worker you ever want to meet, till the last couple of years when these changes started coming in and I started speaking out. And then within 6 months period, you got 2 strikes, 1 more and you're out. And I'm faced with a situation that is moral and I'm not supposed to say anything. And then when I'm told not to speak, no, I'll say whatever I want. Oh, that's insubordination. You know what I mean? I did exactly what that cop did. I took my firing. Fuck you, man. And I'd do it again. And that was a year and a half ago. And I miss the kids I work with, but I'm not going to sit there and be your dog and be quiet when immoral things go on. There are people like that in the world. So whether or not this was a psyop or not, those cops don't know it. It can spark them to rethink what they're doing. Some of them maybe gather a little bit, maybe start talking to others, those that they know will maybe take some of this in, not to kiss asses, you know what I mean? Not getting to those guys, don't run upstairs and tell on you, That's how it works. Trust me, it's a grade school. I spent 11 years of my life there. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, now that we're winding down and where I like to be done around the 25-minute mark, stop the division, stop attacking people. Poor Carol, she did a great video on it today, how the comments just, as much as she loves to hear the positive, those negative comments, not because they affect her and she has an ego problem, it's because she realizes how fucked up people are, and it's sad and depressing. I don't need that reassurance or verification. I already know that, so I don't need to read it. And again, as far as any acclimates go, as much as I would appreciate people and hearing them and thanks and all that, I don't need it, and it's worth it to lose that to not bring that other negativity into my life and read how stupid people are underneath a video that I just spent 25 minutes doing. It's not important. You either like it or you don't. Give a fuck. I just speak my mind. And people need to start coming together. This truth community has been a real joke. It's like a grade school. Same as the police department. He's a shill. Everybody's a fucking shill. Everybody's a shill. That way you don't have to believe anything. And you can just sit there and eat your celery and meditate, or pray. Just wait for the end times. I'm not going to do anything to try to change this evil. I'm going to wait for it, and I'll be rewarded in the end for my belief. Yeah, that's how it works. But people trying to make a difference in the world and putting stuff out there, we got to attack them. You didn't do your research, dumbass. Oh, you don't know anything? Oh, look at the black and white. Look at the 33. Look how smart I am. I watched a video once, and it told me that. All right, I don't get all worked up. Love you guys. Get learning, get speaking. I posted those videos with my thing yesterday. Brian broke it down pretty good, and then he, of course, later on, re-broke it down, looking at it from another angle of the possibility of the psyop. But again, we don't know shit. So let's take what we got and do something with it and stop pointing the finger at each other because people have the balls to send stuff or put stuff on their feeds or even make videos. Because what are you doing besides anonymously with no face sitting there? Let me type. Mom, I need some Cheetos. I'll get them myself. Fuck it. She's always ignoring me while she's up there doing your laundry. Happy 35th birthday, son. You know what I mean? That's the mentality of people that are doing that shit. So who needs it? Ignore it. We need to unify around what is true, just, moral, and right. Love you guys. Get learning, get speaking.